Hi, I'm Gianni Seto, and this will be my presentation for my semester project. Before I discuss the state legislations, I will also talk about two topics. The first topic will be opt in versus opt out policies, and these policies will be mentioned in each state's legislation. So, for opt in policies, the parent or guardian needs to sign a form saying that their child is allowed to enroll in a sex education course. Meanwhile, opt out policies have the students already enrolled, and the parent or guardian must sign a form to remove them from the course. And then the second topic is how bills get passed into law in each state. So each state has a state and assembly, and one person from either branch has to create a bill, and that bill has to pass through both branches to the governor. And if the governor passes it, it becomes a law. If the governor vetoes it, it goes back to both branches, and both branches have to come together and vote collectively. And if it's a 2/3 majority, then the bill still passes. So, having discussed that, let's get into state legislation. So for Arizona, they have an opt-in system. Their curricula is determined by a local government board and committee, and the contents for high school classes must include abstinence being an 100% way to prevent pregnancy, the harsh effects of STDs, and the consequences of sex and pregnancy. Arizona also separates its requirements from high school and middle school. So for middle schoolers, boys and girls are separated during these lessons. The lessons can't be graded, and student evaluations cannot be preserved, and the lessons can't include questions about any sensitive information about the students. So when I was reviewing the content these of the legislation, I thought it was restrictive and contained overt negative language. There was also a lack of medical accuracy and whether the instructors needed certain credentials for teaching. And overall, it is a very ruthless and biased legislation in its portrayal of sex education. I also thought this legislation could lead to stigmatization of marginalized students because only 4% of LGBTQ plus Arizona students reported having LGBTQ plus education in 2021. Also, teachers feared bringing up sex education related topics to their students for fear of heavy social stigma and lawsuits from the parents. And so there is a lack of social of support for factual information and open communication for this legislation that is negatively impacting their Arizona school administration and students. Meanwhile, in Nevada, they have an opt-in system. The sexual education curricula is determined by the school district, a board of trustees, and an advisory committee. This committee is made up of 5 parents who have students enrolled in the district, as well as 4 experts in various fields. The content must also include medically accurate information about HIV and information on the human reproductive system, related communicable diseases, and sexual responsibility. So when I was reviewing this legislation, I thought it was general and neutral, which is good because it didn't include anything negative, but it was also bad because it could have been more specific about its regulations on sex education. So for the effect of legislation, the opt-in policy creates more hurdles for the school district and the education curricula because it depends on the parents being involved in the student's life, and if they are not involved in the student's educational life, then it creates a barrier of entry for the students, the parents, and the school district to instruct sex education curricula easily. And Nevada has one of the highest rates of HIV in the West. This leads to the inclusion of HIV being a good thing in the legislation, but it also could be more robust in the legislation as well by including resources for HIV as well as how to test for HIV. And overall, this legislation leaves a lot of decisions on content to the school districts, which makes minimal requirements, and this all could create inequality in sex education around the state. So for California, they have an opt-out policy, and the curricular requirements must be followed by the school district and any educational program. The content must include medically accurate information, inclusive information, and information about maintaining social relationships. It's also a requirement for students in California to have a sex education class in middle school and high school. So, for the effects, the legislation, after the legislation was enacted, there was less teenage sexual behavior and more use of contraceptions, as well as the implementation of a more inclusive program leads to the possibility of creating a safer environment for students, according to a Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network 2021 report. And so the curriculum presented in California is robust and creates a safe standard, a state standard for content and how it should be enacted, ensuring equality among Californian students for sex education. So overall, the variety of sex education in these states reflects the existing variety of quality a student can have in this country. And the inequality can only be combated through current legislation and community effort outside of the school districts. So the average citizen or advocate could participate in their community to find practical solutions to improving or contributing to increasing public sex education. Thank you.